Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live stream with me, Professor Heather Austin. Today, we are talking about how to write the perfect resume to beat the ATS. In fact, I'm going to give you a guide to help you secure exceptional job offers using your resume. So what I want you to do, if you can hear me and see me, give this video a big, huge thumbs up. It allows me and my team to be able to bring these amazing workshops to you for free on the internet, wherever you are located on planet Earth. So hit the thumbs up button if you can hear me and see me. Say hello in the chat if you have not already done so. And then give this channel a subscribe. So hit that subscribe button as well. We have so much amazing content to plan or to give you. I have amazing free resources I'm going to be sharing with you. I have some special flash offers I'm going to be sharing with you. We are talking all things resumes from A to Z. Now remember, you can also use that chat to post questions. So if you have any questions for me and my team, get them into the chat box. We are going to be answering questions during this live training, and we'll also be answering some at the very end. Now, at the very end, we also have live resume reviews. So you'll definitely want to stick around for that because we had hundreds of people submit their resume for this live show. We selected a few lucky people. We're going to review their resumes live during this training, and it's going to be amazing. So you'll want to stick around for that. So let me know in the chat where you're joining us from, and then we'll get started. It looks like Meadow Rose is here. So happy to see you. You jumped in early. Nicole, happy to see you. Stephanie, happy that you're here. We have someone from Venezuela in the house. Greg, happy to see you. Sky is here. Lexi Lou is here. Victoria's here. Tane, so glad that you guys could make it. I love you guys so much. Can I just tell you how grateful I am that you join me during these live training sessions and that you're learning and that you're putting into practice what I'm teaching, and that you're hopefully landing exceptional job offers. Now, I have some amazing success stories to share with you during today's training because I wanted to get you to take action on what I'm teaching so that you can send us your success story. Now, really quickly, we have Carrie Stiles, who is in the chat with you guys today. If you guys don't know Carrie, she is a longtime member of our career club on Facebook. It's a free group. We almost have 20,000 folks in that group: job seekers, recruiters, career coaches, resume writers, all things job search related in that group. If you have not yet joined that group, make sure you do that. Carrie is one of our amazing career strategy experts. She's been posting in that group for years, and she is now joining us for these live streams to help make sure we get all the questions answered. So she will be in the chat answering your questions. She's also going to be getting questions in front of me in case she wants me to answer them live. We get so many questions during these live streams, and I can't possibly answer them all unless we were online for 5 or 6 hours, right? But we're not going to do that. Carrie's going to be in there. If you have questions, please put those in. Let her know that you have a question, and then she will answer them. And of course, I'll be answering some during the live session as well. So what I want to do, I want to jump right into the slides because we have so much to cover with you. Now, the very first thing I want you to do, if you have not yet grabbed your free ATS-friendly resume pack, make sure you go over to, whoops, wrong slide. Here we go. Make sure you go over to heatheraustin.online/resume pack. Now, I'm going to also pop that into the chat for you, and then I'm going to pin it to the top of the chat so that you can grab that link right away. This is a free resume template, but it also has a couple other things for you. It has a free example that you can follow, and it has, we're going to be jumping into AI and how to use ChatGPT today. And it has some prompts. So it's going to take you to a Google sheet where you can look at the prompts that I'm sharing with you today. I normally share lots of information during these live sessions. And when it comes to the prompts and all the amazing things, I have you guys normally take a screenshot, but today we have included it in a Google Doc for you so that you can actually get get that doc and you can copy them directly from the Google Doc. So if you have not yet done that, make sure you go to heatheraustin.online/resume pack to get your download, or click the link in the chat, and I can't remember, Carrie, if we have the link in the comments below the video, but it is in the chat, and after the live stream ends, we will put it into the comments of the video. Okay, let's get going. The other thing I want you to do, if you have not yet downloaded ChatGPT, you can go to chat.openai.com to download your free, well, I shouldn't say download. You can, unless you use the app, right? You can download the app as well, which I have it on my phone and I use it all the time for everything. But you can sign up for an account. It's a free account, and that's what I'm going to be teaching you today. Now, there's so many amazing AI resources that you can use. My favorite so far is ChatGPT. I think it's better than Google's version. I think it's better than any other version out there, and it's only getting better. So that's the one that I use, and that's how I'm going to teach you. So make sure you get your free ATS-friendly resume pack. Make sure you also get your chat.openai.com account, so that you can start interacting with ChatGPT if you have not already. Now, I have a question for you as we get started. I want to know, what is one thing, just give me one, holding you back from creating an ATS-friendly resume? So if you had to just pinpoint one thing, type that into the chat. Now, some of you might be joining us for the first time. Some of you are like, who are you and why are you teaching us this? So I'm going to just share just a quick little journey about why I'm here, who I am, and how we're here together today. So my career began in academia about 15 years ago. So I spent 15 years as a university professor and in various leadership roles, teaching on-campus classes, leading academic teams, hiring faculty members, firing faculty members, all that good stuff. But about 7 years ago, I came to the realization that I wanted to move beyond the classroom. I wanted to move beyond teaching just those 30 or 50 students on campus and training my faculty members. I wanted to come to the internet and teach all of you on YouTube wherever you are on planet Earth. So that's where I decided I'm going to start a YouTube channel, and I'm going to take everything that I know about hiring practices, teaching, career development, resumes, all that good stuff. And I'm going to now share it on YouTube so that hundreds of people could see me. And I really only thought it would be hundreds of people, but now it has expanded to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, which I'm so grateful for that decision that I made. But the thing that made me decide to do that is I had this expertise for teaching and leadership, but I really wanted to go global, right? Now, the amazing thing about us going global, and when I say us, I have a team of people that help me do what I do, right? We have been able to help people find and land job interviews and job offers at top companies like Google. They should rename themselves to Google. Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Paramount, all those amazing companies, and not just large companies, but small companies as well. And we have been able to be featured as a YouTube educator on this platform. We could never have done any of that without you guys. So I'm so grateful that you're tuning in. I'm so grateful that you're here and that you're spending time with us today, because it allows us to keep doing what we do, right? Now, beyond all those amazing folks that we've been able to help, the other reason, or my real true motivation, actually lies deeper than that. It actually lies with these people. This is my family. So I'm sharing this picture, not just to show that these are my biggest supporters, right? But I wanted to teach them that they don't have to go and slave away in a job that they don't love, that they don't have to spend time working for the government, which, if you guys know, both of my parents spent their lives working for the government, and both of them were truly, truly unhappy with their positions. And I wanted to teach my family that, hey, you don't have to do that. Like, there is so much more to life than slaving away in a job. And that's probably the whole culmination of why we do what we do. Now, beyond that, though, I want to share a couple success stories with you. So we get these messages every single day, either through email, people post them on our YouTube channel, we get them on LinkedIn, like all week long, we get these amazing messages. And by the way, this is what keeps us going. This is why we keep doing what we do. So Tony wrote in and said, I interviewed and got the job thanks to your videos. After I was hired, they told me 50 plus applicants were narrowed down to 8. They said my interview stood out by far from the others and they weren't even close. He says, thank you for your help through your free videos. They were a tremendous help. Here's what Gianni said. I got hired. Thank you for all of your guidance. I was told I was so impressive and professionally polished that they wanted me to start immediately. And by the way, if you guys have success stories like this, share them with us in the comments. Send us an email. Let us know how this information is working for you. And then Ethan wrote in and said, I had to come back through my YouTube history to find the video to thank you, Professor Heather Austin. I watched your videos the night and morning before a series of my most recent round of virtual interviews. I had never felt more prepared for a series of interviews. He goes on to say, I got the job. I will definitely be referring friends and colleagues to your resources. He says, thanks so much, a new subscriber. So, hey, we want all the same amazing goodness just for you guys. Now, at the end of today's session, I will be sharing with you where you can grab our career advancement toolkit. We are running a special spring flash offer on the toolkit. So if you've seen this resource before, if you want to learn more about it, stick around until the end because I will be sharing with you where you can take advantage of the spring flash offer. I'm also going to be sharing with you where you can take advantage of an invite-only link to our next group career coaching and job search strategy session. So if you didn't know, I do these sessions every single month with my Academy members, and they're 60 minutes. Sometimes they're 2 hours. Sometimes they're 2.5 hours. We bring on special guest experts. We talk about the most pivotal job search challenges that you guys are having, and it's on Zoom, and you get to show your face on the camera if you want, or maybe you don't want to. That's okay. You don't have to turn your camera on, but you get to interact with me live. We get to talk one-on-one in a group setting. And by the way, the folks that join these sessions have such an amazing success rate for their job search because they're getting real life feedback. So stick around because I'm going to be sharing where you can take advantage of that. Now, before I ask my next question, let me share with you really quickly what we're going to cover today. So we're going to talk about the ATS and how to build a clean, concise resume that is ATS compliant. We'll talk about how to write an attention-grabbing resume summary that hits those employer-specific pain points. We'll talk about how to write achievement statements. And I know a lot of you had written in and said, I don't know how to write these achievement statements, help me. So I'm going to share with you how to do that. We'll also talk about how to customize your resume to fit almost any job, even if you're making a career switch. A lot of you had wrote in and said, Heather, I'm transitioning careers. Please help me make this transition. So I'm going to be sharing specific tips just for you guys when we get to step number 4. And then always, as always, because I love AI, and I know 100% it can streamline the entire process for you, I will be sharing with you how to use AI to help you write your resume. And of course, you can use it for all sorts of other things. Now, the next question that I have for you before we jump into step number 1, how many positions have you applied for in the last month? So type into the chat, and maybe it's 0, and that's okay. Maybe you're just getting started. We want you to just get started. But let me know, how many positions have you applied for in the last month? Just enter a number into the chat. While you're entering that in, let's talk about the ATS. I wish I could have like a dun dun dun, because this is a question that I get almost every single day from people about the ATS. Now, Carrie and I had such an amazing conversation over LinkedIn yesterday about what the ATS actually is. And I want to share this screen, and then I'm going to share with you a little bit more information because we want to shed as much of a bad rap as the ATS gets. We want to shed some positive light on the ATS. So really what it is you could think about it as AI screening, right? But it's a system or a software that actually streamlines the entire hiring process for recruiters and hiring managers. So when I was talking to Carrie yesterday, she said, hey, you know what? It's really sort of like a digital filing cabinet, right? That sorts with multiple capabilities. So what it might be looking for is it's reviewing simple terms. It's reviewing and ranking what you might have in your resume. And it's really it's not a bad thing. It's actually a really, really, really good thing, because I saw someone put in here that they had applied to 200 positions. Well, we know that recruiters receive hundreds of applications for just one position. Well, they don't have the time to go through all those hundreds of applications, right? So they need something that will help them narrow in on the applicants that have used the right formatting, have used the right keywords, have the right qualifications and experience, and maybe gives them now 10. So now they can start with those 10 people, and they can look at the top 10, and then they can decide, well, maybe I'm going to interview 5 of those, right? So we really want to look at this as this is a positive tool for job seekers. And Carrie, type into the chat if there's anything else you want me to add about the ATS. It is a positive tool for job seekers and recruiters, but here's the key. If you get through, if you know how to write a proper ATS resume, you don't even need to worry about the ATS, because you've already done your work, which is what I'm going to teach you today. All right. So I want you to look at the resume in 4 different parts. I've taught this many times. This is what I call my 4-part framework for the perfect resume. So we have the top part, which we'll go into each section in detail in just a second. We have the work experience section. We have your education and your training. And then we also have skills and other sections. No matter where you are in your job search, whether you're a super experienced professional, fresh out of college, maybe you're a high school student that has no work experience, you are going to have basically these 4 structures. Now, number 2, instead of work experience, it might be volunteer experience. It might be contract work. It might be freelance work. But almost every single person that has a resume should have these 4 parts. Let's look at each of them individually. If we look at the top part, this is pretty basic. Let me take my video off of the screen so you can take a screenshot of this if you need to. Where's my screen? There I am. So the top part is pretty basic. It just includes your contact information. It includes a position-specific title. It includes 3 key skills right under that, and then it includes a professional summary. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can write your summary, or the top part, but this is kind of the basic structure. We'll dive into more detail the summary in just a second, but just have an idea of what that top part should look like. If you all downloaded your ATS resume pack, you'll have this exact resume in your pack, and you'll have a template with it where you can enter your own information. Now, if we move into the work experience section, that's always going to fall right under that top part. We need this to be results driven. We need it to be accomplishment oriented. If you can, quantify whatever you can, right? So quantifiable, and then keyword heavy. If you can do this, this will help you get past the ATS and be one of the top candidates that gets invited into an interview. Now, past the work experience section, we have education and training. Now, notice that I have and training. Some of us don't have a formal degree, and that's okay. This is where you can add other things like certifications. Maybe there's other training programs that you've completed. This is to show your employer that you're moving in the right direction, that you're keen on learning, and so on and so forth. So we're always going to list the highest degree first. We're going to list relevant coursework if we haven't graduated yet. And maybe there's a couple courses that you're taking that you can pop in here that will pull through some of those keywords that an ATS might be looking for. We're going to tailor it to a position when we can, and then combine with your certifications if you need it. Now, if you have lots of certifications and lots of education, I would keep these two sections separate. But again, you can always pop those together. Now, the final part to this framework, and this is one of the most important parts, is your special skills and other. Now, when I say other, it's like other sections. This is going to be so unique to you. I might have a technical skills section, and then maybe I might have professional memberships. Well, you might have a professional skills section, and then maybe you might list awards and honors. This is subjective to you and the position you're applying for. You're not going to have all of these. You're going to select the sections that you think will help you stand out as the best candidate. So on the left of the screen, I've listed just a couple ideas for you. On the right of the screen, that's the second page of the resume that I've sent you in that ATS-friendly resume pack. Notice the options. You can do volunteer experience. You can do professional memberships. You can do language competencies. If you are doing a 2-page resume and your work experience goes on to that second page, you can use some of these other sections to fill in that space, right? If you're doing a 1-page resume, you might not even add any other sections. I would at least recommend adding like a technical skills section at the bare minimum, but these are options depending on your skills, your experience, and the position you're applying for. Last minute reminders before we move into step 2 when it comes to your resume and following that ATS guideline. And remember, when I say ATS, it's not just, hey, I'm going to pass the ATS. You are getting past the human reader as well, right? We need to impress the ATS and we need to impress the human reader. So last minute reminders, let me move I always forget when I do this presentation that my face is on the screen. So let me move this. So you can see the entire screen. No columns or tables, no images, charts, or graphics. You need to use clear hierarchy, which in the resume template, I've shown you exactly the hierarchy to use. You need to use keywords and phrases, and you need to use easy to read fonts, all right? So all of that is kind of your last minute reminders when it comes to the ATS. Next question for you. What part of your resume needs the most work? So if you had to pinpoint part of your resume that needs the most work, let me know in the chat. I'm going to put my bifocals on because I want to look at some questions that are coming through. Someone had mentioned, should you put jobs on there that you have worked for, that you have worked even for only a few months? Does this highlight inconsistency? When it comes to listing jobs that you've only had for a few months, it really depends on what's on the rest of your resume. So you have to remember when you're listing those dates, let's say you started in January of 2023, right? Or 2024, and it's going to say 01/2024 through 03/2024. That to me, if I'm a recruiter or I'm a hiring manager, I'm like, oh, that to me is raising more red flags than anything, because I'm wondering, what did they do? Like, why were they only in this position for a couple months? Now, if you had a significant achievement during that time and you could put it up in the summary or in like a career highlight section at the top of your resume, I'm okay with that. But I don't want to have any red flags when I'm looking at your resume. And so that's one of the things you have to make sure when someone's reading your resume, that they're really impressed by everything that you've done and that they're not getting these little red flags to say, oh, I'd rather not. I'm going to pass on this candidate, right? Hopefully that helps. All right, next step. We have 5 steps to share with you. So the next step is your attention-grabbing resume summary, and we want to make sure that this hits employer-specific pain points, right? So your resume summary is one of the most important pieces of your resume. I really want you to think of your summary as your 30-second pitch, or as a pitch to engage your reader, get them interested in learning more about you. In my opinion, I love to really hit it hard with the summary, because I want them to be convinced right when they see the summary that they should be bringing you in for an interview right then. And then maybe if you did list a position that was 2 months, 3 months, 4 months old or long, that maybe they're not going to be as concerned about that, right? So there's really a couple ways that you can look at that. I'm going to share a couple of screenshots with you so you can look at what it looks like to break this summary down. So we're always starting with the title of the job. So if I'm applying for a customer success manager, that's what's going on there. If I'm applying for a dishwasher, that's what's going on there. If I'm applying for a project manager, that's what I'm putting there. If I'm applying for a business analyst, that's what I'm putting in that spot. Now below that, I need to make sure I'm bringing in key skills that are mentioned in the job posting. So for those of you that have the ATS resume template pack already, you'll notice that prompt number 1, which we're going to look at these prompts in a second. Prompt number 1 is helping you identify those top 10 to 15 key skills in the position, right? So if you're identifying those top 10 to 15 key skills in the position, you better list the top 3 if you have those in that title in the key skills section. Now, underneath that, we are going to add key, like I like to call these action words that you find in the job description. So in this job description, they wanted someone that was reliable, energetic, and resourceful. And the reason why I know is because those words were in the job description. If they are not in the job description, they list something else like dynamic or whatever else they might list. There's so many keywords that you could put in here. You are going to change that on your resume. So at the bare minimum, I want you to be able to, every single job, change the headline, change the key skills, and change those 3 action words found in the job description at the bare minimum. Now, once you get your master resume copy created and you have it's all nice and everything's looking great, if you use that master copy and every single job you change these 3 things for and then submit your resume, right? Because this is you tailoring that resume. Even if you are making a career transition, you are going to see a higher success rate in those interviews, right? Now, beyond that, if you have extra time, you're going to tailor the rest of it, but at least those 3 things. Does that make sense? Type into the chat, yes, if you know I need to change these 3 things for every job. Yes, into the chat. If it's not making sense, type no. And hopefully we'll clear it up as we go. So after those 3 things that you're changing, right? You are then going to talk about your experience a little bit more. You could enter the number of years of experience you have. You could you're basically just talking about your experience, right? You're also going to list your greatest accomplishment in that area. Right? Now, I have a template I'm going to share with you guys in just a minute if you are making a career transition, because when we're making a career transition, we're speaking to the future. We're speaking to, hey, I might not have all these skills, but I am capable of X, Y, and Z. I have the ability to do X, Y, and Z. And that's what we're putting in the summary if you are a career changer. I know a lot of you wrote in that are career changers, and that's kind of your secret sauce there. So you're going to mention your experience with your greatest accomplishment. Then after that, this is it. This is it. All the summary is. You're going to describe what makes you an expert. So notice that I'm saying ability to blah, blah, blah. And then I'm ending with expertise in blah, blah, blah. That's really all you need to do. Now, I'm gonna highlight this more as we go through today's presentation, but that is all a resume summary is. Title, key skills, your action verbs, talk about your experience, talk about what makes you an expert, such as your ability to and your expertise in. Do you guys kind of see that framework there? I know the summary gets, a lot of people get overwhelmed by the summary. Now, I do on the Google Doc that I'm going to share with you in just a minute. I can see a lot of you have it open. That's awesome. On the Google Doc, I share a prompt with you to help you write your resume using AI. So if you don't see that or you don't have that yet, make sure you go download it, heatheraustin.online/resume pack. All right, last minute reminders when it comes to your summary. Tailor it to the job, every job. Start with the title, that's the job title or the position you're applying for. Highlight any relevant experience that you have. Use keywords and phrases. Again, that's going to help you get through the ATS and convince the human reader on the other end that you should be the one that they're interviewing. And then we never want to use me, my, or I. So I look at hundreds of resumes every single week, and I'm so surprised that people are still putting me, my, and I in there. So if you have that in there, take that out. We never want to speak in first person. Now, when it comes to LinkedIn, in your summary or your about summary, you can say me, my, and I all you want. We want it to be more personal, but not on a resume. So my next question for you, I want to know, this is going to require a little bit more thought. What pain points can you solve for a potential employer? List at least one pain point you can solve for a potential employer. Awesome. Okay, Shirley mentioned, I'm going to see, Shirley, if I can find your comment in here because I want to pop it up on the screen. And by the way, you guys, if you have a question and you type question in the chat, it actually comes up as a different color for me. It turns it yellow, and so I can like really pinpoint it super fast. So if you have a question, type question. And let's see, I want to see, Shirley, you had asked a question. Let me see if I can pop that up. If I can't see it really quickly, then I'll just speak it out on the screen. I see a different question from you, Shirley, but okay, I'll answer her question. So she says, appreciate if you can talk about functional hybrid resumes to not be discriminated for age. Do you still enter jobs you held more than 15 years back? Okay, I'm going to actually be showing you an example of a functional, I call it the hybrid resume, right? I'll show you that in just a minute when we get to talking more about career transitions or career changers. When it comes to not being discriminated by age, there's a lot of things you need to do to make sure that this doesn't come up. I feel like I meet with clients one-on-one during the week, and this is like a question that's been coming up every single week, even more and more than I've ever seen. So I talk about this a lot, but when it comes to not being discriminated by age, what you need to do is you need to make sure you're really careful with dates. Remove dates from education. You want to make sure in your summary you're not saying 20 plus years experience in yada, yada, yada. You can just say something like very experienced. You want to make sure that you're using a nice, up-to-date modern resume template. I get a lot of resumes that it looks like it was written in the 90s. And I'm like, oh, there's just a few little things we need to do to change this, right? And so keep that in mind, just making the resume look more modern. Also, you mentioned, should you remove jobs you held more than 15 years ago? Yes, your resume needs to be a current, up-to-date document. You really don't need to go back any more than 10 years. You could go back 15 years and just list one job without all the information. I'll show you that in just a second. I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. So keep in mind, there's a lot of different things that you can do to bypass age discrimination. All right, let me see where you guys are before. I want to see who entered their employer-specific pain points. Oh, good. Yeah, we got a lot of people in here. Okay, Bridget says, I just learned about Heather. Hello, Bridget. So happy to have you here. Where might I find the Google Doc she refers to? You need to go in and download your free ATS-friendly resume pack. When you download that, it's going to send you a confirmation email. We're making sure we don't get bots on our email list because we get lots of bots and random AI things trying to get in, and I don't know why, but and then you need to confirm your email address. You will get sent a zipped folder with the template, an example, and the Google Doc. And I'm going to show the Google Doc in just a minute. So, all right, let's get into I have so many screens up here. Let me get back to this one. Okay. When it comes to your achievement statement, so I want you to think about these as the backbone of your resume, right? And they really need to be focused on your results or things that you've achieved. A lot of times, and I'm going to share examples with you. A lot of times folks will say, hey, this is the task I performed or the duty that I had, but they leave off what was the result of that task, right? So I'm going to share with you a couple of things to help you start spinning your wheels on really what it is that you've done and how you can get that to your resume, even just a first draft. And then the real magic is then we go to AI and we say, hey, make this sound so much better than it already does, right? So I want you to think of these couple statements. You're going to be thinking about what you did. So here's just a couple thoughts. I did this. So you're going to write down what it is that you did, and the outcome was something. It could also be, I did this, and it resulted in something. Now, the other couple things you can add on to that, which these are not on the screen, the difference it made was what? The value it brought was what? So you're thinking about outcome, some sort of results, and outcome and results. You could think of those as the same thing. What difference is it making, or what difference did it make? And then what was the value that you brought? So you have to consider those things in addition to the tasks that you're completing. I'm going to share with you specific examples in a second. Now, if I were to put this all into like a simple formula to create your achievement statements, I share this formula almost every single live stream because this is really the starting point for you to really think about what it is that you're doing. Once you get that down, you're now talking about this in your interviews. You're talking about this when you're networking with people. You're talking about this on LinkedIn with people. This is the foundation of you being able to explain what it is that you've done. Your action verb, you're going to add a task to that, and then you're going to add some sort of result. Now, you could always start with some sort of action verb, talk about the result first, which is really, really powerful, and then add the task. So let me share with you what action verbs look like. You've got things like coordinated, executed, oversaw, revitalized, streamline, blah, 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 blah. This list goes on and on and on. These are some of my favorite action verbs, right, that you can place into your resume. But these really are, this is the starting point, right? Then we put it into our results-driven achievement statement. Let me share a couple of examples with you. I have 3 examples to share with you. Take a screenshot of these if you need to. So this first one is a customer service improvement example, right? So I look at so many resumes every single week, and I wish I had time to just rewrite and improve all of them, but I don't. And I'm like, oh, I want to change the statement so bad. But here's a poor example. Handled customer complaints. That's okay. Like a lot of people say that or something similar, but notice how much better I can make this. Revamped the customer complaint resolution process, resulting in a 35% decrease in customer complaints and achieving a customer satisfaction score of over 90% within a year. So how much better does that sound over handled customer complaints? Now, where I get these numbers are subjective. You don't have to be 100% accurate because a lot of times you don't know exactly. If you do know exactly, yes, put the exact number down. If you don't know the exact percentage, that's okay. You're going to try and get as close to the percentage as you can. Now, let me share with you another example. So this is a sales increase, right? Helped increase sales at XYZ company by 20%. So this one, we're getting a little bit better, right? Because we're giving a percentage. But notice how much better it sounds if I say, led a sales team at XYZ company to increase revenue by 20% within 6 months. So not only are we giving a percentage increase, we're giving a timeline. Now let me go back to the other example really quick. That also gives a timeline within a year. So if you can add these percentages and these data marks in addition to a time frame, that's even better. And then I say by strategizing and executing a new sales approach and comprehensive team training program. So what I want you to do is I want you to be structuring your statements, your achievement statements, and then we're going to go to AI to ask it, how can we make this even better? All right, here's another example, cost reduction. So just so you guys notice, the examples I'm giving you, These are all things that companies want to see. So our first example, some sort of customer and service improvement. How did you improve the customer service? Okay. Sales increase. How did you increase sales? Cost reduction. How did you reduce costs? These categories are things that employers really tune into. So if you can even touch on each of these, that's amazing. So this example, reduced costs at XYZ company. That's great. You reduce the costs, okay? But notice this. I say engineering a cost-cutting initiative, which is basically reduced costs. But notice how much better when I say engineered a cost-cutting initiative that reduced operating expenses by 25%. And notice here, I'm breaking it down even more. I'm saying 200,000 annually. So now I'm also adding a time frame in there at XYZ company by obtaining supplier contracts and streamlining workflow processes. So notice in this example, I'm listing the result first, and then I'm saying by doing what. So keep that in mind as you are writing your own results-driven achievement statements. Now, I want to share this last slide with you before we jump into step number 4, because a lot of people get hung up on, I don't know how to quantify, or what do I even quantify? There's 2 categories you need to keep in mind. You have your quantitative, but then you also have qualitative. So again, those quantitative, these are going to be things that are really easy. Numbers, dollars, percentages, the time frame that we talked about, frequency. When it comes to qualitative, those are still things you can quantify on your, or you can place on your resume to show that results orientation. But this could be things like promotions, honors, awards, recognitions, acknowledgments in some way, or maybe you even learned a specific skill set. So don't get hung up on, I can't add numbers and this and that. You can still use the qualitative measurements and put that on your resume. Take a screenshot of this if you need to. All right, we still have resume reviews to get to, you guys. We'll get to that in just a second. My next question for you. I want to know, what's one results-driven achievement statement that you could list on your resume? One results-driven achievement statement that you can list on your resume. Hello, the Kiev Master. So happy to have you. It says, if you've been in your career, how long should the work experience be? I'm not sure what you mean. If you've been in your career, how long should the work experience be? Are you talking about the bullet points on the resume? Are you talking about how many years do you list? If you could pop into the chat and just give a little bit more explanation. Awesome. Janita Sparks Brown, happy to have you, says, what font is recommended for resumes? I like to use super simple fonts. The template that you guys have access to, I use a Cambria font for that. You could use Calibri. You could, Times New Roman and Arial, those are pretty basic. I don't like to use those. I use Cambria for all my resumes. And then in terms of the font size, which I don't think you asked that question, but you're going to start with anywhere. I start with an 11-point font. And if I need to change the size, like make it smaller so it fits or make it bigger, I will. But I never go lower than a 10 and never bigger than a 12. Okay, awesome. Another question. As an executive, is a 1-pager preferred over a 2-page? Yep, for sure. If you have more than 7 years of work experience, you will be using a 2-page resume format. If you have less than 7 years of work experience, in fact, here's the same question. I think this is from a different person. Did that pop up? Oh yeah, got it on the screen. Okay. If you have less than 7 years of work experience, you will use a 1-page resume. And by the way, you guys, Carrie's so freaking awesome. I love you so much, Carrie. She's in the chat answering questions, making sure we get through these questions as quick as we can. All right, so one results-driven achievement statement. Let me see if you guys had the chance to pop that in. Awesome, Sue. Love it. Sue says, implemented renters insurance guidelines, recovered $148,000 in 3 months. That's a great start. I would love to see you pop that into ChatGPT and say, hey, can you make this even better? And then get specific on recovered 148,000 what, right? Like homes, renters. I don't know what that means. So get really specific, but that's awesome. Really good. All right, step number 4 is customizing your resume. So I talked a little bit about that summary section at the top. You're always going to start with that. And I'll show you in a second some real clear examples on that, like befores and afters. But when it comes to customizing your resume, I want you to think of, and by the way, I put things in like steps, right? I'm very much like, give me step 1 and then give me step 2 and then give me step 3 and I can put it together. But if you just say, do this, this, and this, and I'm like, I don't know, what do I do first? Like I'm really bad even at reading instructions to put together a piece of furniture. I have to like read it 10 times and then I'm on the step and I have to reread it. And I'm like, okay, this part goes here. So I'm very visual and very much like, here's the first step, right? So if you are a career changer, which a lot of you, and by the way, enter into the chat for those that are here live, or if you're watching the replay, type into the comments below if you are a career changer. So career changers are, you're in one industry and you're thinking about going to another. Or you could even, job changers, that's different. That's just switching one job to another, maybe within the same field. But let me know in the chat if you are a career changer. We get emails every week from career switchers. And this is kind of like a framework that I put together to help you with the steps of changing your career. And well, not the steps of, but writing your resume if you are changing your career, because that would be a whole nother session. So what I want you to think about is the very first thing you need to do is identify those transferable skills. If you don't know what a transferable skill is, these are skills that you could basically use in every job, no matter the job title or the field. So you can add these skills to your resume summary. You can have a whole entire section on your resume called skills section, or you can even highlight them in your work experience section. Based on my research, here are the 12 most important transferable skills that companies want. Now I'm going to take my face off the screen for a second. You guys can take a screenshot of this. So the 12 most important transferable skills that companies want. Take a screenshot of that if you are a career changer. So of course, we're always looking at things like problem solving, leadership, critical thinking, adaptability, teamwork, so on and so forth. So these are things that you can add to your resume if you are switching careers. Now, the next step to this is to think about customizing that headline and those key skills. So this is where you need to analyze the job descriptions really, really carefully and tailor your resume to meet those requirements. And of course, the keywords mentioned. Let me show you an example. So here's an example of all of you guys have access again to this free resume template. If you go to heatheraustin.online/resume pack, you all have access to that. That top example here, this is the example of our customer success manager. Well, I'm going to take this same resume and now let's say I want to apply for a product manager position. Notice what I'm doing. I'm changing the title and I'm changing the 3 key skills below it, right? Most of us could do data analysis. Most of us could do market research. Most of us could be strategic thinkers, right? So that's what we're going to place in that resume if we don't have the key skills really required for a product manager and if we're switching careers. Does that make sense? You guys type yes into the chat if that makes sense. This is such an important concept. And I feel like when people get this, it's like the light bulb goes on and they're like, oh, yes. Why didn't I like do this before, right? Okay. Yes. Good. All right, then let's look at, after we get that first part of that summary, the next one is to craft a compelling summary. So this is again where, and I'm going to show you an example, this is again where you can mention like your future career aspirations. Remember, you're not saying, oh, I'm a master in X, Y, and Z, But guess what? I can be a master, and I do have the ability to do this. So the summary needs to clearly articulate why you are transitioning and how your existing skills make you a suitable candidate for the role. So here's some things I want you to remember. I don't have this exactly on the screen, so write this down if you need to. You're going to mention things like transitioning to, skilled in, adept at, and passionate about. Did you guys get that? So again, this is for career transitioners. This is for someone that is moving into a field that maybe you are not an expert at, but you're going to mention things like transitioning to, skilled in, adept at, and passionate about. Let me show you an example. All right. Can you guys see this example? So again, we have our first customer success manager position again, but now notice I'm changing up the summary for my product manager, and I'm saying something like, and I'm going to read this so that you guys can see what I'm meaning. Experienced customer success manager transitioning to product management with over 5 years of blah, 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 blah. Then notice what I'm doing. I'm saying skilled in such and such, adept at such and passionate about such and such. I should have bolded those words in the summary so you could see what I'm talking about. So again, that's all you need to do if you are transitioning careers. You're talking about what you're skilled in, what you're adept at, and what you're passionate about. Without saying, oh, I have all this experience, right? You're saying, hey, I'm transitioning into this thing and I am the candidate you should be bringing in for an interview because I'm skilled in, adept at, and passionate about. Is this making sense? For those career transitioners, is this making sense to you guys? Type yes into the chat. Good. I'm seeing lots of yeses about my other question. Okay. Israel asked a question. I'm going to pop your question up really quick. Is your resume template the preferred clean layout and format that we should use for most applications? When would we use something else? You're going to use something else never, because yes, this resume template has been tested, tried and true. We get comments every single week from people all over planet Earth that tell us, I used your template and I applied for these jobs. I got an interview. I didn't realize how fast this was going to work. I can't believe I didn't know about this before, yada, yada, yada. So yes, this is an ATS-friendly resume format, but it also appeals to your human reader and it allows you to really pull through your best possible self. Right? And again, if you guys go back to that ATS portion where I talked about no columns, no graphics, no charts, no tables, no pictures, none of that. This is like a simple, basic format. I have Kelly's story I'm going to share with you guys in just a minute. She was a graphic designer and she had to create a graphic design resume. And then she calls it, I can't remember what she called it, like her plain Jane resume. This is your plain Jane resume because it gets past the applicant tracking systems. So keep that in mind. Good thought and good comment. Good question. All right, let's keep moving on with our career changers. So again, you guys had asked earlier about that hybrid resume format. I want you to consider a hybrid resume format. Keep in mind, however, this format, it does give you greater flexibility to emphasize some of your relevant skills and your experiences that align with the new industry. But you have to remember, most of the time, employers love to see that traditional layout, right? Which is the template that I've been showing you. Most of the time they like to see that, but there are some special cases where you're not always going to be able to do that to show your best possible self. So let me show you what the hybrid resume format looks like. Very similar to our regular format, but you'll notice now instead, we're adding a couple key sections at the top to talk about some of those transferable skills. In this case, it's leadership and sales and marketing. Now, I'm going to give you guys an offer to join us inside of our career advancement toolkit in just a minute here. We have all of these resume templates in there. The template that you have access to that is free for all of you, that's our basic resume template. However, we have a professional resume template that's going to be for folks that have more than 7 to 10 years of work experience. We have a resume template for the career transitioner, which is this one that you see on the screen. We have a resume template for academic people that are creating a CV, a resume template for recent graduates, someone that doesn't have a lot of work experience. All of these are very specific to certain case scenarios, right? So this is an example of what that hybrid resume format would look like. Now, the last piece to the career changers, which we're not going to dive into this because we could talk about cover letters all day long, is to leverage your cover letter, but I didn't fit because this wouldn't fit on the screen, and personal branding. So you're going to leverage your cover letter and your LinkedIn profile if you are a career changer. So this is where it's really your chance to tell your story in more detail about why you're transitioning, and you're really going to try and support that narrative from your resume in your cover letter and in your LinkedIn profile. Now that's a whole nother training for another day, but just know that that's kind of the last piece to this puzzle for career transitioners. Now, quick question. I want to know, what's your target industry? So whatever industry you're in, type into the chat what your target industry is. Let's see. I'm going to see if there's any other questions. Oh, yes. So Sherry had mentioned, where do you find the Google Doc with the AI prompts? You have to go in and download the ATS-friendly resume pack. So heatheraustin.online/resume pack. You have to confirm your email address if you want to, if you want access to that, right? Because we get lots of bots trying to get into our email account, and we just want humans, right? So you got to be human first of all. And then we will send you an email that has a zipped folder with the template, the example, and then a link to the Google Doc. All right. So industry that you want to target, type that into the chat. Awesome. So many good ones. Hello, Greg says technology. The Key Master says auto. I think you mentioned that last time. Tane says healthcare recruiting. Human resources. I love it. Corporate wellness. Awesome, Kim. Patrick says hospitality. Transportation. Accounting. I thought I wanted to be an accountant once. And then I took an accounting class and realized, oh no, my mind does not think that way. Trelena says public health. Michelle says insurance. Hello, Tim says quality assurance manufacturing. I love it. These are so, I see sports broadcasting in here. Awesome. I love those industries. Those are all great. Okay, you guys ready for the AI part to this? So this is where I'm going to show you guys what this doc looks like. And then for all of you, I see a ton of you already have it open. What you need to do is you need to go to file and then say make a copy, which I'll show you that in a second. But what I want to talk about is how to harness the power of AI. So AI came on the scene last year, right? Totally took everyone, and including myself, by storm. In fact, just so you know, I have it on my phone, and anytime I run into a problem like, oh no, I got to email my daughter's teacher about she missed school and they're wondering blah, 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 blah. And I just don't want to type up the message. I'm like, help me write this message. And then it types it up. I'm like, this is awesome. I mean, you have to customize it, obviously, right? Because AI throws some random terms in there, but it will save you so much time. In fact, if you have already started using AI, type yes in the chat. If you already use AI in your daily tasks, type yes into the chat. Let me share with you just a couple statistics. We know that job seekers who use AI, that 78% of them actually secured an interview faster, and 59% of those went on to get hired. We also know that job seekers who use AI in their job search actually get paid more, right? So not only are you securing interviews, you're getting hired, and you're making more. So I want to jump over to the Google Doc really quick. So I'm going to share a different screen with you, and I want to go through these prompts really quick with you. And then of course, we are going to get to resume reviews, believe it or not. All right, so if you do not have access to this, you need to go to heatheraustin.online/resume pack. I'm going to see if I can share this link. For some reason, it wasn't working for me earlier. I'm going to see if I can share this link in the chat box at the very, very top. For some reason, it wasn't letting me pin it, but I'm going to try it one more time because then that will allow you all super easy access to this document. And my chat is sometimes delayed. So in fact, you guys are about a 10-20 second delay after me. So when I ask you a question, it takes you guys a minute to respond, right? Because you're hearing what I asked like 30 seconds ago. Where is my comment now? I'm not seeing it. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to pop this to the top. Whoops. And then you guys should all be able to access this. So again, what you're going to do is you're going to, oh shoot. Okay, there we go. I got it. There it should be up there pretty soon. Okay, let me show you this page really quick. So you guys will come to a page that looks similar to this. You're going to say, send me my free resume pack. Enter your first name, your email address. That's how we're getting this to you. You have to say that you are not a bot, right? So check that box. You'll get an email with a zipped, you'll get an email that says confirm your email address. And then once you hit that button, the zipped folder will automatically download to your computer. Inside that zipped folder, you're going to have a Word document that is the template. You'll have another Word document that is the example. And then you'll also have a link to these prompts right here. So let's go through these really quickly. I think I listed 8 of these. This is a working document for me. So I am going to be adding to this or changing these prompts in the future based on what I feel is working or not working. So keep that in mind as well, that I might change this a little bit in the future. I might add a couple more prompts, but this is there for you right now in order for you to use these prompts to help you with your resume. So prompt number 1, oh, by the way, let me show you this too. You need to make a copy of this. So if you go to File and Make a Copy, you can save it to your own Google Drive. And then you can edit, you can customize these prompts, you can change them, you can do all that good stuff, right? So this is the very first prompt that I'm showing you here. This is the prompt that I'm asking ChatGPT, which this is by far my most favorite prompt because this is where I start all job searches, all resumes, everything starts with this because we need to know what are the top skills that this company is asking for. And this is where I asked ChatGPT, hey, I have a job description for the position I'm interested in. Could you analyze it and identify the top 10 to 15 key skills required for this role? So then I'm going to paste the job description in and it's going to give me those 10 to 15 skills. That's what I'm going to be adding to my resume, that very top part at the very bare minimum. Now, the second prompt, this goes into us learning about or us asking ChatGPT to help us with those achievement statements or with the experience, right? So I say, the summary. Can you craft a compelling resume summary that highlights my number of years of experience in, list the field, showcase my professional background, mention my notable achievement of, and then conclude by emphasizing my expertise in. You have to give ChatGPT that information because if you don't, it does not know what to do with it. Now, the other thing you have to keep in mind, I do this prompt all the time. Every week I do this prompt. It's going to give you a big, huge, my ChatGPT is getting better because I'm telling it what to say and what not to say. It's going to give you a big, huge summary. You might have to say, shorten this, please. Remove the me, my, and I. You might have to say, hey, remember, this is for a professional summary. I don't want to speak in first person, right? So you might have to prompt it just a little bit more to get the results that you want. But this is a really good starting point. Now, prompt number 3, we're going to say, hey, can you help me develop 4 to 5 bullet points on my resume for my position as, give the position. I would like them to be impactful and include keywords. Here's what I did. And I'm going to give the task. Task A, B, C, D, yeah, right? And then it's going to give you some ideas to consider. Keep in mind, when I go do these resume reviews in just a second, I look at resumes and I can tell right off the bat if they've been written with AI, because AI brings in random words and you have to be careful of those. You don't want those random, like there's a word that it uses all the time. It's like orchestrated or like something. I'm like, oh, why do you keep using that word? It's like the same word, right? And I see these job seekers that put it in their resume and I'm like, you got to change those words so that it doesn't look like AI wrote your resume for you, but that maybe it helped you, right? But that you had the basic guidelines and the foundation, and then it just added a little bit of pizzazz, right? Now, the next prompt is, this is actually another prompt for your achievements, right? So this is where you're going to ask it to help you make these achievements quantifiable. So I'm going to say begin with a dynamic action verb. This is because you guys know this formula, right? Begin with a dynamic action verb, detail the specific task or challenge, and end with the measurable outcome using numbers, percentages, or dollar amounts. Okay, these are some amazing prompts, you guys. These are what's gonna help you with get your resume in tip-top shape. Now, the next thing I'm going to actually ask, and these are other random prompts I wanted to put in here just so you could kind of see what you can ask ChatGPT. I'm asking it something random. Hey, can you draft an example of an education section for a resume that's tailored for someone applying for the whatever position? Please include relevant degrees, certifications, training, and any other specialized coursework that would be advantageous for this role. So it's going to give you an example. And then from there, you need to decide, do I want to use all of this? Do I want to use a part of this? I'm going to share with you guys my professional resume template in just a second that is inside of the toolkit, that if you decide to join us in the toolkit, you can grab that. Again, that's going to be for all of our job seekers that are, 7 years more in the industry, because you're going to list a lot more. But I share with you, I'll show you exactly how the education section should be written. Here's another random prompt that you could ask it. Hey, please provide an example of a technical skills section suitable for this position. Again, if you've ever seen a live stream of mine, I love technical skills. So I want everyone to have that on their resume. And if you're like, what should I even put in the technical skills section? This will give you an idea. Now, the last couple of prompts here is asking us to make the resume even better based on we've gotten the structure together, right? I'm going to say, hey, based on my experience and the job description for such and such, what specific adjustments can I make to more effectively tailor my resume for this role? So again, now we're saying, how can I make this even better and customize to this position? And it's going to give you some suggestions. Now, the next one from that, prompt number 8, I'm applying for the XYZ position at company ABC. Here's a current copy of my resume. Can you provide areas of improvement and suggestions on how to enhance my resume for this position? What I want you to keep in mind here is that you can also not only give it a current copy of your resume, by the way, remove your contact information, and you can give it the job description. You can paste both of those in. Sometimes you'll see that it works better if you paste the resume in one prompt and then you do another prompt with the job description. Sometimes you can group them all together. So keep that in mind as you are prompting ChatGPT. It does take some finessing. It's getting better all the time. I go between ChatGPT 4 and ChatGPT 3.5 all the time, like just to see what the different results are. If you do not have the paid version, it's totally okay. You can definitely do the free version and it works just as well. All right, we are going to jump into resume reviews, but I have a question for you. I want to know, what has been your biggest takeaway so far today? So type into the chat, what has been your biggest takeaway? We covered a lot. We covered everything from the structure of your resume to the summary, to writing results-driven achievement statements. We dove really deep into the career changers resume. And then, of course, AI and those AI prompts. What has been your biggest takeaway so far today? Pop that into the chat. And a lot of you guys wrote in before this session and just kind of explained to us what your biggest challenges were. A lot of you said, hey, I haven't written updated my resume in a really long time. I'm not sure where to start. Some of you even mentioned that you're just not sure of what current job search strategy is working. Some of you mentioned, I'm getting way more rejections than anything else. I'm now starting to second guess my work experience. I'm starting to second guess my skills, and I'm really not sure how to use AI. Some of you even mentioned that. I know because I meet with so many of you every week, not only in just one-on-one private sessions, but in our group coaching sessions. I interact with many of you on email. I know that what most of you are looking for is a job or a position that allows you to have a better work-life balance, maybe to spend more time doing things that you love, maybe to spend more time with people you love. Now, everything I've taught you today, this isn't magic. It might seem magic, but it's really not. These are the same resources and the same tools that I teach all of my Academy members, anyone that joins us inside of the Academy or the Toolkit, that I teach on the channel to get amazing success and results for job seekers. So before I jump into resume reviews, I want to invite you to join us inside of the Career Advancement Toolkit during our flash offer. So the Toolkit, if you have not yet heard of this, it's an elite career bundle with video lessons, templates, guides, there's instructions, there's examples to help you secure your next job offer, because we want you to apply and interview with confidence. I want to share a couple success stories with you, and then we are going to get to those resume reviews. So Tammy wrote in and said that she increased her salary by $32,000 and joined the six-figure club. She says, let me get my bifocals on for this one. She says, your course helped me secure a position with a pay rate $25,000 higher than I have ever been paid. A year later, she received another $7,000 increase. She says, next year I joined the six-figure club. She said, you're truly an expert. My advice to anyone who is looking for work, do exactly what Heather says. You will succeed. So I'm hoping you guys are going to do exactly what I say. You're going to be the next success story. Here's what Eric wrote in. He actually applied to 10 jobs and got interviews with all 10 companies. He says, after using you as a resource for creating and optimizing my LinkedIn page and my resume, I have been highly sought after. I've applied for 10 jobs and got 10 hits. He says, you are undoubtedly, that's a hard word for me to say, the best at what you do. Now, I want to share a quick clip with you, and then we will jump into resume reviews. I want to share with you a little bit more about what's inside the toolkit, but I want to bring on Kelly, who is one of our toolkit users. She's the gal that I was talking about earlier who had a graphic design resume, and she also had a plain Jane resume. So I want to bring her on, and then I'm going to join you at the other end of this clip.
So I have been a graphic designer for 15 years. I had worked various jobs and recently got a job at my dream job as a visual communications instructor at the community college where I started.
Tell me a little bit about your job search challenge or biggest frustrations that you were having before you invested in the toolkit.
I was applying to a lot of different positions that I was qualified for, but I wasn't hearing back from them. I began searching of reasons, why am I not getting called back? As a graphic designer, your portfolio portfolio is everything. And my portfolio was there. But what I discovered was that my resume was lacking. So I started YouTubing and found you. And from there, learned that my layout was not conclusive in the right environment for a bot to read over. It was looking at it as an image instead of text like it should be. After watching many of your videos, I was like, I need to have a plain Jane, better formatted resume. So I have my plain, the template that you gave resume, and then I have a fancy one that I take to job interviews.
That's so smart. Like, what specific milestones or successes have you had as a result of using the toolkit? You mentioned earlier you're in your dream job.
Before I landed this job, so job before last. I had worked in the hunting industry for 8 years as their graphic designer in-house. And that's where I was kind of stagnant in my job search. And so I kind of got really determined of, I want to find a better job. I started with your toolkit, redid my resume, complete, overhaul, of course, overhauled my portfolio, and started applying to jobs and started getting twice as many interview requests. One of those interview requests came in the form of a defense contractor. They were really interested in me. So I came and interviewed for the job. I went from making $40,000 a year to $57,000 a year. And I think that was based on my resume. The toolkit also helped with applying for this visual communications job. I really appreciated the AI prompt kit that you've added. It really helped me as far as like a jump off point. I could put in, like you suggested, put in the description for the job, extract the keywords. What do I need to put in my resume? What do I need to be saying? How do I need to word this? It did it. I put it together and submitted it for this job and got it.
Would you say the AI/ChatGPT part was the most helpful resource, or inside the toolkit, what would you say would be the most valuable?
No, definitely the most valuable was the lessons about the resume template. Not the template, but yes, the template itself. But if you only had the template, you wouldn't know how to correctly fill it in. So without the lessons, learning about, quantitative statements, qualitative statements. Mine was more qualitative because it's hard to quantify. But those tips and tricks and just lessons that you taught in there helped me fill out my resume. So yes, the template was great and wonderful, but it was the lessons of how to do it. And then even it continued to help too when I got this job of how to resign from my previous job. And I resigned in such a way that they asked me to stay as a casual.
Wow.
So now I work part-time for them while I'm still
wow. That's awesome. Good for you. So what would you tell a friend that was thinking about investing in the toolkit, or even a friend that was in the job search? What would you tell them about the toolkit?
It's an investment in yourself, and you deserve to have the job you want. You deserve to have a good job that you like going to, that you feel fulfilled. Investing in yourself and investing in this toolkit allows you to achieve that.
Okay, what I love about what Kelly said is she said, I was applying for positions that I was qualified for, but I was not hearing back. And then she said, I used the toolkit to land where she's at and increase her salary by 40%. And it was actually her dream job. And did you guys hear what she said about having her different resume copies, right? Now, the other thing I love about what she says is you deserve to have the job you want. So I want to share with you really quickly what is inside of the toolkit so that you guys can get a better idea of what she used and what many of our other toolkit users do to land and secure their life-changing job offer. So I'm going to just take you over to our toolkit page, which, by the way, Carrie will pop that page into the chat. I will pop it into the chat as well. We do have some amazing fast action bonuses for folks that decide to join us for our fast action bonus. So that will be available to you. But as you look at what is inside the toolkit, so we have broken things into a bunch of, I shouldn't say a bunch, but because I try and like simplify everything for you, but we have broken things into different modules so that you can take it one step at a time. Remember what I said about me being I need steps. I need you to tell me, do this first, and then this, and then this. So we have module 1, where this is where you're going to build your irresistible resume. So we take a lot of the same structure and a lot of the same concepts that we've talked about here today, but we go even deeper into building the resume. This is also where you're going to get access to all of your resume templates, the career transition template, the professional resume template, if you're a new graduate, if you have no work experience. And by the way, those two resumes are just a little bit different. We then go into creating your compelling cover letter. So again, if you've ever seen a presentation of mine, I always like to look at your cover letter as a mini sales presentation. We did a workshop on this a couple weeks ago where I shared 3 different types of cover letters that you need if you are a job seeker. So we dive a little bit deeper into the cover letter inside of the toolkit. We also go into developing your personal brand. So that's in module 3, where we go through your personal brand and networking strategies. So you'll get access to what I call the LinkedIn Profile Essentials Starter Pack, where it's going to help you build your LinkedIn or start building your LinkedIn profile with your headline, your summary. I also just barely, like yesterday, updated all the networking templates inside of the toolkit. And what I've done with you today, where I've shared with you guys the the AI prompts, we have now put the networking templates in that format so that you can go to Google Doc and just copy the template and use it on your own rather than copying it from like a Word doc or from an Acrobat document, right? Or a PDF. Now, we also go through ACE your interview with fantastic follow-ups. So this module is specifically dedicated to the process of follow-ups after your interview. So where you're going to actually learn what to say, what to do. We have all the templates in there as well for that. Let's say you are following up after your job application. You had a phone screen interview and you need a follow-up. You had a first, second, and third interview. What do you say in all those different follow-up messages to your recruiter or your hiring manager? Maybe you haven't heard back from a recruiter or a hiring manager, and it's a position that you're like, I'm totally qualified. I need this job. Why are they not calling me back? We have a template for that as well. If you're rejected from a job, we have a template for that. If you're accepting or declining a job offer, we have all those templates for that as well. Now, and this is just as you scroll down the page for the toolkit, I give you just a sneak peek at what's inside our career experts template and example vault. So this is not everything. In fact, I have it's 60 templates and examples, but it's actually probably way more than that now. I haven't even counted them. I need to, but it gives you, this is just kind of a little glance at what is inside there in terms of the templates and the examples and so on and so forth. But again, I'm going to scroll down because we do have our LinkedIn networking templates. This is just newly updated. In fact, it's so new that I still need to add the link to our online library. So for those that have the toolkit already, you guys will get access to this. I'm going to place that link inside of the online library for you to access all the new networking templates. It's going to be a Google Doc that you can just click on and go and copy and paste any networking template that you need. Now, we've also added some stress-free essentials. I like to call these stress-free because it does help you with your job search. So our first bonus inside of the toolkit is Master Your Job Search, which is, it's basically an entire module dedicated to showing you how to organize and track your jobs, the positions you're applying for, who the recruiter is, what step you are in the process, what messages have you sent out, what skills are required for this job so that you know, okay, when I go interview with job A, I need to touch on skill A, B, and C. If I go interview for job B, I need to make sure I'm mentioning skill X, Y, and Z, right? So that's inside of the toolkit as well. We also have Create Your Powerful Pitch. This is another bonus, so bonus number 2, where you'll learn how to, and this is another separate module, how to write your 30-second pitch and how to say your 30-second pitch, right? This again is one of those really pivotal modules because it really teaches you if you're introducing yourself in an interview or if you're meeting someone for the first time, how do you tell them what it is that you do and that you're really good at what you do, right? So that's in there as well. And then we've added some exclusive bonuses as well. So we've added recently our 3-part LinkedIn mini series inside of the toolkit. So that is VIP bonus number 1. You'll have access to that as well. It actually is, I say it's 5 hours. It might be more than 5 hours where we break down everything related to LinkedIn. So your LinkedIn profile, what should you be posting on LinkedIn? How do you follow leaders and how do you reach out to hiring managers? How do you job search on LinkedIn? So it is like, we'll hold that class again. Probably in the fall, we'll do another LinkedIn mini series, but this was by far like one of my most favorite trainings because we really dove deep into LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, if you guys have heard me before, it is one of those job search tools you need to be implementing if you're not already doing that. Now, in addition to that AI prompts sheet that you have, we have a whole entire additional training on how to use AI if you're a job seeker. In fact, we have compiled over 120 plus prompts. So not just those 8 that you saw on that cheat sheet that I gave you, the Google Doc, but 120 more. So not just for the resume, but how do you do your cover letter? How do you write your LinkedIn profile? How do you answer this interview question? How do you answer that interview question? How do you negotiate your salary? How do you job search if you don't even know what you want to search, what job you should be searching for? So we break all that down inside of our brand new AI powered job search training. And then of course, VIP bonus number 3 is our job interview confidence training. So this again is where and this is like a whole separate course or whole separate program where you're going to learn how to master your next interview, including answering the common interview questions, managing your nerves, what questions should you ask them, how do you follow up, so on and so forth. So all of that is inside of the toolkit. Now, we are doing a fast action bonus. So this is for anyone, this is for the first 20 people that decide to join us inside of the toolkit. We are hosting a special 60-minute group career coaching and job search coaching session. The first 20 people that enroll in the toolkit, which by the way, this will be gone today. This is always gone on the very first day that I announce our flash offer. We have not done a flash offer on the toolkit since December, like a real proper flash offer since December. So if you guys are like, hey, I want to get in, now is the time to do that, right? Because we probably won't do another flash offer, I don't know, for another 3-4 months. We don't have it on plan to do that. But for the first, let me remove my screen from the page. For the first 20 people to enroll, you will get access to the group coaching session. And by the way, I'll give you the exact date on that because we already have that scheduled. It will be April 25th. So April 25th, you'll get access to that. If you can't join us live, you will get the replay. So make sure if you're on the fence and you want to join us for that fast action bonus, you definitely want to get in and do that. So all those bonuses, you got regular bonuses, VIP bonuses, fast action bonuses, in addition to all the regular content. So let me just share with you guys really quickly, all the value of everything inside the toolkit is worth more than $3,506. We've added it all together. We've had experts evaluate the program, tell us what we think it's worth, what they think it's worth, and it's worth more than $3,506. However, if you join us today, you're only going to be paying $197. That's your investment, $197. We normally have this for $497, but we're slashing all these prices for you guys just for this spring flash offer. So if you want to get in and join us, your investment would be $197. To join us, all you need to do is go to heatheraustin.online/offer, /live offer, or use the link in the chat. I've pinned that to the top of the chat box. or in the comments if you're watching this on replay. So heatheraustin.online/live offer. The amazing thing about what we do as well is we take PayPal. So you'll go through a secure checkout process. You can use either PayPal or your credit card. Again, the first 20 people in will get that special invite only link to our next group career and job search coaching session. So a couple more success stories with you guys. Leah wrote in, and she actually talks about making more money, and she has a hybrid work schedule. Who doesn't love that? She says, I was applying for jobs when I could, but I wasn't getting results. She said, I revamped my CV according to your template, watched your videos on interview prep and the one on job interview confidence, which is our interview confidence training. And I've just accepted an offer for a project coordinator role at a great employer. I found the CV template really helpful for stories for behavioral questions when interviewing, right? She says, this means a lot to me and my family that I'll be bringing the money I wanted and a hybrid work schedule. Here's another success story. This is actually from Spencer. I haven't seen Spencer in the Facebook group lately, so hopefully he's just on his way working and doing amazing things. But he says, this is the first time in 30 years I go home feeling he says, this is the first time in 30 years I go home feeling good about the day and excited about the future. I followed Heather's ideas to a T and it all worked. He says, I write all this. So he goes and he explains his whole situation. Because we're short on time, I'm going to just kind of skip through some of it. He says, I write all of this to say that Heather's work not only helped me, but empowered me to help countless others. It's a gift that keeps on going and giving. So his story, he actually was he actually helps people that are going through drug addiction and helps them to get through that, get into jobs and so on and so forth. So not only did he use my information to land his current position, he's using it to help other people. And we get that a lot where people are like, I use this to help me, but now I'm helping all these other people with these same principles. And I want this, I'm a very abundant mindset person. I want this to go out across everyone on earth, right? He says, I got the career and job I wanted, and you can too. He says, put in the work and it will happen. Believe in your ideas and your visions, and you can sell them. Erin wrote in and said she found her dream job and increased her pay. She says, your resume, cover letter, and interview guidance successfully helped me to receive 2 job offers. And she actually only applied to 2 jobs. And that's all. She only had to apply for 2. She got offers with both of them. And she was actually switching industries after 10 years. She says, I was able to find my dream job, which carries the benefits of increased pay. And she goes, more importantly, work in an area which I find rewarding. She says, I truly believe it was your method of guidance and teaching that led me to successfully receiving these 2 job offers. So you guys, we want this same exact success for you. As a quick overview, here is what is inside of the Career Advancement Toolkit. Let me take my screen off again. So you can see everything that's in there. Learning modules, the experts, template and example vault. We have our job search mastery module, our powerful pitch module, our interview confidence training, our ChatGPT training, our 60-minute coaching session, our LinkedIn mini series, and then of course my favorite part, lifetime access. So all of that is inside of the toolkit if you decide to join us in that program. Again, all you need to do is go to heatheraustin.online/live offer. And while you guys are checking that out, I want to take some more questions, and then we are going to do a couple resume reviews. So let me see, Carrie, where we are in the questions. Yeah, we do. We have some amazing questions today. Yes, Renee had mentioned, can you review my resume? Yes, Renee, I don't remember if I saw your resume come through as one of the resumes that we tapped off on to interview, or sorry, to review. interview, review, whatever. But you can send me an email and I'll take a look at it. Let's see. Oh, good. Okay, Kim, let me see if I can get your question up on the page. Because you had a good question about job scan. Let me see if I can find your question really quick. Oh, here we go. You might have asked this quite a while ago, but I want to pop this up here anyway. So Kim said, I had a friend recommend JobScan. Do you have an opinion on that company and its resume review capabilities? Yes, I love JobScan. Absolutely love them. So what I do is I actually use JobScan, but I also use ChatGPT. So I think when you are doing each of them will give you different information, right? ChatGPT is going to give you more of like exact sentences and things like that you need to do to either improve or make your resume better. JobScan is a really good resource to say, hey, compare this job, this resume, and this job description, and show me what I like. And you hit a button basically, and it reviews it all. And then it gives you, it's almost like a report that it gives you that tells you words you're missing that are in the job posting, what your percentage is of passing an ATS system. It gives you a lot of really valuable information. I like both of them together. So I think they're great tools if you are using them together. Good question. Let me see if there's anything else I can pop in that I can answer quickly before we get to resume reviews. Oh, there's so many good ones. I'm just not sure which ones. Okay, let me find this other person because I like you guys to see this. I like you to see the question on the. Oh, shoot, I'm not finding it. Oh, okay, here we go. Someone had said, does anyone use Grammarly? What settings do you use for optimum resume and cover letter writing? I actually was using Grammarly. I turned it off because it started interfering with things and making suggestions that I didn't want it to make. And I was like, oh, I gotta turn this off. So I've since turned it off, but I do think it is a powerful tool. You just have to be careful because it kind of interferes. Like when I had it on, it wouldn't show me any of my misspelled words inside of Google Docs, which was really weird. It like overrides some things, and I didn't like that. And so I had to end up turning it off. I'm not opposed to using it, but you just got to be really careful. Good. Go Cow says, how do I sprinkle ATS keywords given from ChatGPT? So again, you're going to use that top headline. You're going to use the key skills. Those are a given. That's what you're going to change. You can start adding things into that summary if you want to. You could start switching up how you're talking about your experience. You can add certain skills, like in a technical skills section. Maybe it wants memberships of some sort or certifications. If you have the time, you're really going to start adding it throughout the rest of your resume. If you don't have the time and you're just, I got to get this tailored, you're going to just do that top part that I talked about earlier. Good questions, guys. All right, I'm going to jump over to, I got to get these resumes reviewed because these are good ones. Let me pop this up. All right, you guys see the resume? Type yes in the chat if you can all see this resume. And then we're gonna dive into the review. This is one of my favorite things to do. I should just make a live stream where this is all we do, is review resumes, because this is one of my funnest things to do, or my most favorite. So I had changed up inside this template. I just popped in I typed in first and last name, but I kept some of this other information on the screen because I wanted to show you. Let me remove my face for just a second, and I'm going to talk about the top half of this resume. So can you guys see the email address? And let me zoom in just a tad. You can probably see the email address says Yahoo, right? Does anyone know why I'm bringing this up? The Yahoo, how do you say it? Yahoo, or I think it's Yahoo. Does anyone know why I bring up the email address as Yahoo? I'm going to be so happy if you guys can get this on the button. And I know my question's a little bit delayed. Yes, good. Everyone can see it. So good. Okay. Anyone know why I'm mentioning the Yahoo email address? Does anyone know? And then the other thing I want you to notice, and tell me if you know this as well, and my face is covering it again. But the other thing I want you to pay attention to, let me move my face, is notice this person did put their LinkedIn email or their LinkedIn link, right? But what is going on with this LinkedIn URL? Does anyone know that? So type into the chat if you guys know why I'm calling attention to that, because I see this so often. Yes. Okay. You guys are on it. So let's see. Amy, you were one of the very first ones to answer. It is outdated. Yes, yes, yes. So anytime you have an email address like Yahoo, another one I see all the time is Hotmail. Okay. These are like email addresses we used what year? The 90s, right? You have to remove that, and you need to get a Gmail account or an email that people are using right now. Yahoo and Hotmail will date you. So I know we talked a little bit about age discrimination before. That is one of the age discrimination factors. That's just one of them. So make sure, yes, Bbox Brit 12, love that. It ages you. It certainly does. So make sure you get a non-Yahoo, non-Hotmail account, right? Now, in terms of the LinkedIn URL, this is all great that you have your name and you have all that information at the top. We want that. But in terms of the LinkedIn URL, does anyone know what? Yes, good. Okay. Janita, hello, Janita. So happy you're here. Is talking about the LinkedIn URL numbers. So what you need to do is go over to LinkedIn and you need to customize your LinkedIn URL, right? So if I could hurry and log into LinkedIn, which I got to do my two-factor authentication and blah, blah, blah. Let me see if it will let me in. I would show you guys exactly how to customize your LinkedIn URL. It's super, super quick. It's asking me to authenticate. Let me just hurry and do it. And I'll show my screen with you guys so you can see, because this is a question that I get, or this is something I see on emails all the time. And I'm like, oh, please customize your LinkedIn URL. Let me see if mine is pulling up. And if not, we'll go. Okay, there we go. Let me share this screen with you really quick. This is that screen, and I need to take off I'm going to take off my picture so you can see this. Okay, this is my LinkedIn page. I could be on the news feed, right? Which I'm not on the news feed. I'm actually on my LinkedIn page. So notice my LinkedIn URL. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can pull it down. Yeah, you can. Mine is Heather-Austin. I got my name. Yay, that's great. I don't have to do any weird things to it. If you need to change your LinkedIn URL, you're going to go to the very top. It says public, profile, and URL. I'm highlighting it. There's a little pencil icon. You're going to click on that pencil icon. It takes you over to this page. It says edit your custom URL. You're going to click on that other pencil icon, and that's where you're going to change it. All right, mine's good, so I'm not going to change mine because I want to keep my name, right? But what you need to do, if you have numbers showing up on your LinkedIn profile, on your resume, you have to go in and change it to your name, right? Or some version of your name. Your name might be taken, but that's okay. Something along the lines would really help. All right, let me just show you too. I'm not opposed to the top of this resume and what it looks like, but if you can join us inside the toolkit, I would love to see you use our master resume template. This is for everyone that is not using the basic resume template that I gave you for free. You've got the template and example. This template is not free. This is inside of our career advancement toolkit. We do share it in some of our other paid programs, but I would love to see your headline look something similar to this. You got your name, your phone number, city, state, zip, a nice, awesome Gmail account, and your LinkedIn URL. Poor Sally Smith. I made that name up like 7 years ago when I made my very first resume template, and she is a person on LinkedIn. And I think people probably go to her profile because they click on these links. But she's really not Sally. This is just a fake person for me, right? So I would love to see your headline look similar to that. I'm not opposed to this, but I just like this better. Now, if we go through the rest of it, I want to touch on, and by the way, thank you so much for sending me your resume. I don't want to like bash this because this is like an awesome resume and we're going to go through all the great things as well. But just in case, this is for people that are, what do I change? What do I do? And I'm just going to give you some slight recommendations. But let's look at the headlines. Remember when I said they need to all be consistent? I don't like the word professional profile. I want to see, rather than professional profile, again, our title of the position we're applying for, and then the 3 key skills. That's what should be in place of professional profile. So make sure you change that. And so you have a customer focused real estate agent and design consultant. I love that. So if that's the title, real estate agent or design consultant, or maybe they're together, you could put that at the top and then give us some key skills after that. In fact, you already have these key skills listed in your core competency section. I would say I would put some of those up there. If you can make them more hard skills over soft skills, that's good. You could add one soft skill in there, like resilience and persistence, if that's what they're looking for in the job, right? In the job posting. But again, let's get that title and your key skills at the top. Now, you have a really amazing start to your summary. I like that you have eager to, okay. And see, this is the other thing. So you're actually doing this really well because I believe, and I'm trying to remember because we get so many emails, I believe this person is switching careers. So you've already done really good at highlighting some of these, hey, I'm eager to, I'm adept at. That's awesome. That's amazing. I don't think I would change any of that. The only thing I'm really not super hot on is this right here. Can you guys see that I'm highlighting that? And the reason why is because it says proficient in Microsoft Office. So the idea is that we all know Microsoft Office. I don't think you need to add it. Now, if there are things, especially add it first, like Salesforce and Photoshop are a lot bigger deal than Microsoft Office, isn't it? In your field. So I don't even think I would add that. I would add probably Salesforce, Adobe Photoshop, because I feel like you need that if you're doing real estate photos and then design consulting. If there's any other program you can mention, I would add it here. And then I'm not opposed to you adding your being bilingual here. Now, what I do want you to do though, however, is I don't love the core competency section here. Now let me say this with the caveat, because I do have core competencies on our master resume inside of the toolkit, right? But this section, I need to explain how and when to use it. If you have a substantial amount of work experience, you don't really need that at the top of your resume. I would way rather your work experience is higher up, as high to the top as possible. So if you look at this resume, you have some amazing work experience that goes back to 2018. I would rather see your work experience comes to the top, because if I'm a recruiter or hiring manager, I definitely need that title up there first. Let me show you how I'm going to read your resume. I'm going to see title, 3 key skills. I'm like, oh yeah, this person is fitting what we want already. I'm going to see these words, these action words that relate to the position. I'm going to read that amazing summary that you have. Then I'm going to jump right to the work experience section, see where you're working, what your title is, what the year is. I might read like a couple bullet points, okay, for each position. I'll do that really quick, as fast as I can. Oh, I'll say, okay, person has a Bachelor of Science, that's awesome, and then certifications. And then I'm like, great, I want to bring this person in for an interview, right? That's how fast I'm going to read it. It's literally going to take a couple seconds. So rather than your core competencies, I would love to see you have some sort of technical skills section or professional skills section at the bottom, and then bring that work experience up. Related experience, I don't know if I love that word. I mean, I just call it experience. Okay. I would just pop experience in there rather than related, because then I'm like, related makes me feel like it's really not what I'm looking for, but it's related to what I'm looking for. Like, I just don't love that. So change that to experience, and then also capitalize your headings, right? And then I like to put a little horizontal line under each major section. I would do that as well. So that should be capitalized, and then put a horizontal line under it. Now, if we look at the position, so I want to spend just a couple seconds on this part, even though I'm about to lose my voice. Let's tackle the date first. With your date, I don't love just years. I love to see months and dates, unless it's going to show a massive, like, oh, I was only at that job for 2 months, like that question I answered earlier. On your dates, I want to see it in numbers, and I also want to see it listed like month, year, and not just a year. So put that in there. I'm okay with you listing it this way, all on one line. So notice what this person has: name of the company, the location, and then the title. I'm okay with that. I would prefer, however, and this would be if you're short on space and you can't do 2 separate lines, the name of the company with the title underneath, and then the city, state. But that's not a make or break for me. But what is a make or break is I want to see a little more depth to these bullet points, and I want to see them in our format where we have our action verb, our task, and our result, or our action verb, our result, and then our task. So for example, you have guide clients in purchasing property for residential use and investment purposes. So that's your task, right? You do have the action verb, which is in there, but then how many clients was that? I want to know, what was the result? Did you increase sales? Did you increase revenue for the company? Did you decrease costs? Did you increase productivity? Like, what was the result of you doing this, right? So if you can get that result in there, and then I want you to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, here's a bullet point for my position as a real estate agent. Can you make this sound better? Or if I go back to my must-have ChatGPT prompts for job seekers, I have a couple different prompts for you in there. And I say, begin with a dynamic action verb, detail the specific task or challenge, end with a measurable outcome using numbers, percentages, dollar amounts to underscore the impact. I want you to take these, and I want you to go to ChatGPT, and I want you to ask it for its help on turning these into those results-oriented achievement statements, right? And I want you to do that for all of these bullet points and get some really amazing numbers in here. You have a fantastic start. I think the formatting is on point for the most part, just a few little changes here and there. And then just just really make these bullet points stand out and get your years and get your months in there. Is that making sense, you guys? Do you understand what I'm telling this individual when I'm saying go make these bullet points sound better? Type yes into the chat if this is making sense to you. A couple of questions I want to answer. And I'm just looking from like the top up or the bottom up. Okay, Benjamin, hello. I'm going to pop your question up on the screen. It says, if AI is being used for job search, why not flood resume with all the relevant data as possible? The idea is that when there will be a job scan or keyword scan, your resume will not be missed. That's debatable, because when you say flood your resume, you also have to keep in mind that at the end of the day, you're going to have a human read this, right? And so we don't want it to be overly saturated with keywords that may or may not mean a lot. That's why I talked about this. When did we do this? I can't remember, but in one of the trainings, I talked about how to analyze a job description. And because there's kind of like there's some steps involved in analyzing a job description. And of course, you're using AI to help you, where you're not going to just throw out everything because it doesn't make sense. Like resume writing is a very specific language, right? That you learn, and you have to piece it together properly so that it is read properly by a human reader. So I wouldn't advise flooding. I would advise analyzing the job description and incorporating keywords that make sense and that means something, right? When that human reader gets it. Good question. Good. Okay, awesome. I'm seeing some yeses. So this is making sense. Good. All right, let me go to the bottom of this resume, and then I'm going to do one more resume. Let me pull this up for you guys so you can actually see the rest of the resume. So on education, what I think here too, there's no dates listed. I'm okay with that if that again is going to prevent age discrimination, right? Bachelor of Science in International Trade and Marketing. I love that. Fashion Institute of Technology. Super amazing. These are some amazing degrees or education to list. I do like to add just a tiny bit more formatting to that section. So let me show you what I mean by that. So in my example, and again, this is the master resume template inside of the toolkit. I list the school, but it's bold, right? And then I'm listing my most recent degree and then a degree after that. You might only have one degree in there, but I want to have just a tiny bit more formatting to that section, maybe bold the school or something like that. And you have this degree listed first. That's okay too. Maybe bold the degree. And then certifications. That's good. Using social media to build business. Okay, that's good too. I think these are great. If you can add a little bit more formatting to that, like, let me just give you an example. So notice on your education, these are not bullet pointed out, which is okay. I don't want them to be. But then on certifications, you have them bullet pointed. I don't think I would bullet point those. And you could even combine education certifications together if you wanted. I think that's okay. I'm okay with you also separating them. I think that's good. But again, I would bring these down into a professional skills section at the bottom of your resume. And then let's get that experience up higher. All right, let me jump into the second resume with you guys. And then I'll take any last minute questions that you might have about the toolkit, the training, anything like that. So let me pull this one down just a tad so you guys can see that. And again, remember, for the first 20 people who decide to join us inside of the toolkit, you guys will get access to our invite-only link for our career coaching/job search coaching on April 25th. And that will be coming your way. All right, so this one, very similar. I mean, I picked some pretty good resumes. I do get a lot of resumes, and I probably could have picked ones that we needed just a little bit more help with, but I wanted to give you guys like an idea of what, like these are looking pretty good, right? And there's just a few little tweaks that you could change that might make the difference for you. So again, this is a fellow Canadian, not that I'm Canadian, but a neighbor to us, right? So I think that's great with all of the information at the top. LinkedIn is up there, fantastic. You have profile summary, but again, I would love to see you change that into the job title with the key skills. Again, if we look at our example, it needs to have that. We have to get that at the top. No matter what, if anything, just do that. I've had people just make that change, and then all of a sudden they get an interview and a job offer, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even update the rest of my resume. I just added that, and they called me back." And I'm like, "Yes, that's how it works. That's how it should work." So, okay, we got that. Let's see. And then I wouldn't have the word highly, because again, that's sort of like, you're going to just say highly accomplished Salesforce consultant and business analyst. You could even bold that. I'm okay with you bolding that in there. This is where we're going to run into the age discrimination. Let me zoom in just a tad on this so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This is where we're going to run into the age discrimination. It says with over 2 decades of experience, right? So then if that's okay and your industry's loving that, great. Dive into that and list your experience. If you're finding age discrimination is a thing, I would not say over 2 decades. You're going to say something like very experienced in, so on and so forth, proficient in implementing. This is great. And then notice we have the word my. So we've got to get my out of there. Anytime you have me, my, or I, or even remove those little things. I love this, adept at. That's fantastic. Watch your formatting in here as well. Notice, I'm going to read this because this is a comma. Can you guys see this? Let me know if this is making sense. There's a comma here, but then this person has a capitalized my, which we're not even going to put my in there anyway. But then if I go to this third line, there's a period, and then it's supposed to start a new sentence, but with is not capitalized. So you have to be really, really, really careful of those little teeny tiny mistakes, because if I'm a hiring manager or recruiter and I see that, I'm like, oh, their summary on their resume has grammatical errors, and then I'm done. Like it's out the window. No, I don't even go any further. So be really, really careful with those little things. The wording is great. Again, you mentioned 2 decades in here again. Let me move my face so you guys can see that. We've got to get that 2 decades off. So you've mentioned it twice already. So we don't want that. We want to remove that. And then just really pay attention to that, your grammatical formatting on here. But you do have a pretty good structure. I'm going to say the same thing with you as well. This skills section is taking up way too much space at the top. Notice all of this random white space. I do not love that. Like your work experience needs to be way closer to the top, because that's really what I'm mostly concerned about. I want to see your title. I want to see those 3 key skills. And then I want to see the summary and then the work experience. Here's what you can do. You can take the most important key skills and now you can add them right under your headline right here, right? So give me the 3 most important, pop them under that headline, and whatever they are toward the job. And again, you're going to change those based on the job. Then create a technical skills section to be put at the bottom and add some of these things in there. But this definitely needs to come more toward the top, especially since you've been there since 2022. Get that to the very top. I'm not opposed to how you've added this here. You may want to consider, I don't know, haven't heard of the company Simplest, but if it could be a big, huge company in Canada or something, you could always place the company name first and then the job title. I don't love these centered either, these titles. I would put those left aligned. Again, we're just bringing your resume up to date, okay? So that's all we're doing. So left align it. I think yours are capped. I like that, but just bring it over to the left. And okay, we got to touch on the bullet points. So I'm going to mention the exact same things with this as I did the last resume. We need these to be results driven. So for example, you say ensure clear communication and alignment between business objectives and Salesforce solutions. Okay, that's awesome. But what's the outcome? What's the result? What's going on as a result of you doing this? We have to get it into that format. So I want you to double check all of these. Go to ChatGPT, just say, hey, here are my bullet points for my position as a business analyst. I need to get these in results-driven oriented format. Again, I gave you guys this prompt already for free. You have this prompt. Let me share it with you because I want you to see what I'm talking about on this prompt here. I give you guys a couple different prompts that you can use to help with your bullet points on your resume. I say, begin each point with a dynamic action verb. Detail the specific task or challenge. End with a measurable outcome, using numbers, percentages, or dollar amounts to underscore the impact. So I want you to take those bullet points, take this prompt, go to ChatGPT and have it rewrite these for you, but watch for those weird words that it puts in because I don't want it to look like you copied and pasted directly from ChatGPT. Does that make sense, you guys? Type yes in the chat if that makes sense, what I just said. Now you have your dates. Your dates are good. Month, year format. That's the type of format it should be. That's great. Double check all of the bullet points here. Okay, one thing that I wanted to show on this resume. Does anyone know, and you'll get bonus points for this. Does anyone know what's wrong with how this position is listed on this resume? Can anyone tell me just by looking at it? And I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to type into the chat. Yep, type that into the chat. Anyone know what is going on with that work experience? And I'm gonna, sorry, it's a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to see if I can answer some questions. Let's see. There's so many really good ones in here. And Carrie, you're like amazing. I could not do this live stream without you. So, oh, good. Okay, Christopher had asked a question earlier. How many hard skills should be listed on the resume? I don't think, Christopher, you're necessarily counting like how many hard versus soft. Hard skills are a lot easier to mention because they're just easier to quantify, right? But soft skills are also really important too. And we're seeing that they're becoming more and more important to employers, right? So it's debatable, I mean, I would say focus on the hard skills and then integrate those soft skills where you can. It's not going to necessarily be a number how many you should include or not include, if that makes sense. Oh, good. Daniel got it. Well, okay. Looks like some more of you got it too. Good, good, good. And Laura, awesome. Okay, so Daniel said, should not roll over one company work experience onto the second page. Yes, you're spot on, Daniel. So here's the thing. What you need to do here, and I feel like with this resume, if we take these skills and we put this whole section to the bottom, everything's going to bump up really nicely. So that's going to work out perfectly. We never want to have one role like partially listed on one page and then the rest of it listed on another. So that's why in this case, we remove that skill section. Now, if I show you the master resume template, notice, and I wanted to bring this up before we finish here today, notice here that we have one position listed on the first page. That's fine, right? And then we list the second position on the next page. Well, if I were to move competencies from here, that's going to change the formatting a little bit. But notice I've also added in here what we call career highlights. Now, we didn't dive into career highlights in this session because it's more of like an advanced topic and it would take us a while to discuss. We did discuss this we did a resume cover letter workshop a couple weeks ago, and we did dive deep into this. But if I were to even remove that and I remove core competencies from this one, then I'm going to bring that second position up, right? Your resume is going to be totally different than your neighbor's resume or another neighbor's resume. You have to format it to show your best possible self, but your formatting might look slightly different. I shared with you guys the 4 sections. You need those 4 sections, right? And then everything else you can kind of piece together to make it look amazing. So in this case, I'm hoping that this senior business systems analyst position, that's going to go up onto that second page. Now, as we get into education, I think that's great. You could say education and training, education and certifications. You could do a couple other things with this. I would like it if you have some space to format it just a little bit differently so that it's clear where was the education, what type of education is it, or certification, so on and so forth. You could remove the dates if you need to. I would just like a little bit more formatting here. The skills are going to come down. Now here's where your listing seems like your accomplishments at the very bottom, right? So what I would advise you to do, which again is going to change the formatting. So you really have to kind of take your own situation and say, okay, what's going to be best for this resume? You could bring some of these accomplishments and pop them to the top up here, which then is going to push your senior business systems analyst position down to the second page, which is totally fine because you'll have space to do either way. So I want you to make that decision and say, do I want to bring these accomplishments up? I don't love the idea that all of these are listed at the bottom because chances are, can you guys see that? Yeah. Your person that's reading this, they're probably not going to make it that far. They might make it to these top 2 and then they're going to be like, oh, that's a long list. I've either decided by now if I want to interview this person or not. So if these are really, really, really pivotal to you securing the interview and to you landing that job and the job offer, get it to the top and create a highlight section, which is exactly what this is right here. And you're not going to list all those achievements. You're going to list the top 3, maybe 4 at the most. I've only listed 3 here. And then my last piece of advice for this resume, I need to see numbers and data, especially because you're talking so much about Salesforce, business analyst. There's so much data that I'm missing from this that I need numbers. I need things that really show me, I know the tasks that you've done, but I really need to see what the results are, right? So hopefully this is making sense to you guys. I know that there's so many questions that came in, and Carrie did such an amazing job of chiming in and answering these questions. I know there's a lot of them that needed just a little bit more explaining. If you guys have any questions about the toolkit, I highly recommend jumping in and joining us now. We probably won't do another flash sale on the toolkit for 3 or 4 months. We have other programs that we like to promote here, and we promote programs or host live streams based on what's happening in the job market. In fact, we do have a brand new workshop with some of our partners from Red Rocket Resume that I'm going to be sharing. If you are on my email list, I'll be sharing that with you next week. And it's all about if you've been laid off, what do you do now in the job market, right? And it's a full training on that. I will be sharing more about that next week, but we offer trainings, either free resources. We're always updating our free resources list. We're always updating our paid programs just based on what's going on in the market. When I meet with clients every week and they'll say, Heather, oh my gosh, I'm having this problem. And I'm like, oh, I need to create a module about that because I'm sure if you're having that problem, other people are having that. So we are constantly updating and improving everything that we offer here based on what's going on in the job market and what's working and what's not. So, oh, by the way, if you guys do join us in the toolkit, you have lifetime access. So when I do update templates and I give you new links or new videos or new resources, you have access to all of that. So that will all be in your online library. As soon as you sign up, you'll get a link to the online library where you'll have access to everything. If something's not showing up, or if you're like, Heather, I'm lost, where do I start? Send me an email at Professor Heather Austin, so that I can make sure that we get your questions answered. I see that a lot of you have joined us already in the toolkit. So happy to have you guys here. I can't wait to see you on our next career and job search coaching session on the 25th. And if you guys have questions at all, let me know. Remember, you guys just supporting this channel by liking and subscribing, it allows us to keep doing what we do here. We adore you. We love coming and doing these presentations for you. So thank you for joining us. I know this was kind of a long training today, but hopefully it gave you guys some really good, some good points to take away and apply into your own job search. If you have questions, again, Heather at ProfessorAustin.com, and we will be in touch with you guys shortly. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.